What's going on there, guys? We back with another one. We got to talk a little bit of LeBron James, Rich Paul today, guys. Now, they were asked about how long LeBron could play this game, and Rich Paul says he believes LeBron can play another 4, 5, 6 years, up to he's 44, 45 years of age, and he says pretty much like if he loses some more athleticism, he would just go down to like Karl Malone's level of athleticism, and he could do the things Karl Malone could do in his prime, is what he's trying to say, which I don't necessarily agree with that 100%, but he could be a pretty decent player as long as his body holds up. Now, it gets dangerous in basketball, in your mid 40s for sure, trying to play an 82 game season. But if anyone could do it, it's LeBron James. He also took a shot at Skip Bayless. You have to wait to the end of the clip because he says, once LeBron retires, then these talk shows won't have nothing to talk about. Definitely taking a shot at Skip. And also, what's the other thing? He addressed LeBron's comments about having a lot to think about in his exit interview, having a lot to think about with basketball. No, it wasn't his exit interview. It was after they got swept by Denver. My bad. He had a lot to think about as it pertains to next season. It was speculation he was going to retire, but Rich Paul offered a deeper look into that. Let's check out what he had to say.
Venus Williams just came out and said she'd like to play. She would be okay maybe playing until she's 50 if she could stay healthy. Tom Brady, we know how long he played for. He's a freak of nature, LeBron. He keeps himself in great physical condition. Could you envision something where he does actually play maybe 43, 44, 45? Can you see that happening? I know it's far down the road.
What does that put him at, 5 or 6 more years?
Yeah.
Listen, he's one guy that I'm not going to say no about. I think it's important to understand what really motivates him. I know it. Obviously, I've been around him for so long. I can tell you what his day probably looks like without even talking to him. And as long as his mind is there, as long as he's still excited about playing the game, and he's in addition to the health, absolutely. Because I always tease him. I say, if your athleticism went away, you just be Karl Malone. It's fine. You can pick and pop, shoot the jumper,
That's
make
true.
the right read. He can literally play for as long as he wants to.
Yeah.
And at this point, obviously, he's not playing for finances. He's playing because he loves the game. And I think this summer, we saw how the season ended. We saw them basically trying to make the playoffs for 2.5 months and then to get to the Western Conference Finals, which was unbelievable in itself. But for someone who's always playing for a championship, wasn't obviously good enough. But then you saw how he ended the season, and him making the comment, having a lot to think about. And then 2 weeks later, he's texting me because he's motivated to get back out there. And so, that's the roller coaster that you go on when you've been someone who has come in this league with such high expectations and exceeded them. He's probably been one of the best players, top 5 players in the league for 20 years.
Yeah.
Even taking as a 22-year-old, taking that team to the finals. Obviously, they were overmatched, but took a team to the finals at 22.
Yeah.
So, he's had an unbelievable journey, and I'm impressed with the fact that he still loves it. I really am, and it's a sight to see. And I think people will miss him when he does stop playing. Obviously, the talk shows and all that will have a ton of things to talk about, or maybe not.
Not to talk about.
Not
exactly.
to talk about, but you just never know, frankly. You really never know, and so I just try to enjoy every moment.
It's not fun to me to not be able to be a part of get to the finals, but we'll see what happens going forward. I don't know. I got a lot to think about, to be honest. And, just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, I got a lot to think about. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
So Rich Paul, he revealed that LeBron found motivation a couple weeks later. Sometimes you got to step away from the game. And I know a lot of people were saying LeBron was trying to take away from what Denver was doing, which that could be true. That's one theory. He also really could have had a lot to think about with a game of basketball. You got to think, Bronny's going to USC, which is right up the road from the Staples Center. And also, we've heard LeBron kind of change his tone a little bit, or, you know, back off his stance as far as playing with Bronny. He's saying, well, he said something I really liked a few months ago. He said, you know, that's what I want, but does Bronny want that? Does Bronny want to play with me? And that was the first time I heard him talk like that, because it was like, yeah, that's what I want to hear from a father. You know what I'm saying? Because he might not want to play in your shadow. He might want to experience that himself, and he might, I don't want to say get there completely on his own merit, but he do want to feel like he earned it. Obviously, he can't escape the fact that he's LeBron James' son, but at the same time, he wants to get on the team, and, you know, for him to stay in the league is going to take him and his production at that level. So he might not want to play under the shadow of LeBron James. And LeBron's going to, if he's on his team, think about like confrontations, just natural on-court stuff you have going on with other players you get in their face. LeBron might be a little too extra. People have accused him of that at games, coming out on the floor, you know, trying to get in the layup lines, and that's supposed to be Bronny and Bryce's and them's moment. And they say, you know, LeBron's overdoing it. So I think that might be part of it, but all in all, you know, LeBron, it seems like he's starting to see that maybe some of those things may have more of a negative effect than a positive impact long term. Now, at the same time, you could say he's getting the NILs and everything. He's leading all that because you are LeBron James' son. So it goes both ways. But I say all that to say LeBron's found new motivation. He ain't going nowhere no time soon. Lakers brought in Gabe Vincent, re-signed some key pieces, and they'll have an opportunity to do something really good next year. I think the one team that could stop them last year, with the way the playoffs played out, with, you know, Milwaukee being eliminated, Boston being eliminated, I think if they would have got to Miami, they would have won a championship. So that's how close it really be sometimes, man. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. I want to know what you guys think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.